Hi everyone. So I've been asked to talk about something I did this past spring when we went online, where I embedded some of my learning content and videos and so forth into quizzes. And I did this really for two reasons. One, to promote active learning and save time on feedback. But I'll go a little bit more into the whys in a second. So really, one of the reasons I did this is to promote the back and forth that I often have in my face-to-face learning. So what do I mean by this? Well, in class, I'm not just up there lecturing. The students are doing a lot of thinking and a lot of answering questions along the way. And sometimes these are even questions that I send out to them before I actually give them the content. So for example, I'm going to give you a demonstration just kind of with a learning module we had in developmental biology on the development of blood vessel growth. And so in class, I would probably ask them to really hypothesize how biology may have accomplished the development of blood vessels based on things we've already learned in class, based on things they already know. How might this happen? So they would spend often time together really thinking about these things and coming up with those hypotheses before I really gave them the answer. And this really primes their ability to think and their readiness to understand the material instead of me just delivering it right away. I also provide a lot of chances for formative feedback assessment. So in other words, clicker questions or think, pair, share, where students really think about and apply some of the concepts we've just learned. So I wanted to know how I could really accomplish this when I was really just kind of having videos and quizzes. How could I get more of this back and forth intermediately? This also accomplished a couple other problems I had. It helped me overcome students going right to the summary and participation quizzes rather than going through the modules in order. So I'd spend a ton of time figuring out how to order these modules, putting videos and learning things there, and then I'd have summary quizzes and participation, and oftentimes I found that students would just go straight there. I wanted to get past that. And then finally, it really did also help me to save time on feedback and grading. So I'll show you all of these things in a second. Let me jump to the Canvas aspects now. So what do I mean by when students would go right there? So like a lot of you, I would have my modules in these weekly modules here, and I would have some relatively short videos, 10 minutes or so, and then I'd have a little quiz on it, and then hopefully they would go through these modules in order, so they would accomplish that one, and then they'd jump to the next one, and then I have a few videos with some quizzes or some thought questions or things for them to do along the way. But what I found, especially in my lower division courses, maybe not so much my upper division ones, but students would just go to the ones where they knew they would get points for, especially since they also knew that on these quizzes I would give feedback and I would tell them the right answer and why it's the right answer and so forth along the way. And so all of my hard work was often getting missed by some of the students. So can I force them really to go through these things and learn it themselves? So how did I accomplish that? Well, this is my developmental biology course, and I'd started off going through kind of with the video and the quiz and so forth, but I started realizing that I could embed some of these quizzes or embed some of these videos into the quiz themselves. So what do I mean by that? So if I jump to a quiz where I kind of change this around, this is the quiz that the students would go through. So instead of kind of video quiz, it would just jump right to the quiz. And you can see here that I have some instructions. So there's to work through the videos, learning activities. I remind them that I don't expect them to answer the questions perfectly every time. A lot of these are thought questions, but I really want them to ponder them carefully, put some time into thinking about it, and so forth. And I'll admit that this really helped because we had had half a semester of class already, so I'd kind of already built the environment where they were used to really thinking about things before I told them the answers and so forth. So I'm not sure how well that would work if you were just kind of starting this off right away, but once they understand that, it works out pretty well. And the last thing is I did grade it on participation, so basically I allowed them to take the quiz several times. So if they got questions wrong, they could go back and they could answer them again, and really, to me, this is just them learning it. But here's how I did it. So instead of kind of having questions, the very first question is not actually a question. They watch this video, and then when they watch the video, they move on, and now there's some questions for them to answer. So here's kind of a short essay question, and then we had some multiple choice questions coming up. So first of all, here's a multiple choice question. So some of those questions were based on the video that we just had. And then I have questions called Think About and Answer. These are ones that I haven't taught them about yet, but I want them thinking about it. Right? So there's a couple of questions that I'm having them answer before I tell them about this. And then there's another video that actually teaches them about what they just answered. All right? So we have video and then questions related to that video. Then we have thought questions before the video, and then we have the video that kind of answers some of those things. And then there's some more things I want them to think about along the way. And then here we have another video that kind of answers those things. And then I also did this not just with videos, but with pages and content. So I gave them a page and look at this, try and figure out what this means, and then answer a couple of questions along the way. And one of the things I did with this is once they answered it, the next thing was not a question again. It actually was the full-on answer to that question. So I made them think about it, I made them answer the question, and then I really give them the answer and the explanation of what's there. So really this is the feedback that they should be able to understand. And they can't go back and forth, they only can go forward, but they can take this again so they can learn this and they can take the quiz again to make sure they get full points. So basically the feedback, the questions, and the videos and everything are all embedded within there. How do I do this? Well, it's pretty easy. So when you go to make your quiz questions, you have options of multiple choice. This is no different than anything you would do. But one thing I did want to point out is when I was having the multiple choice questions, I was always giving feedback. Feedback on the right answer, feedback on the wrong answers. These are why this is right, this is why this is wrong. And it took forever to really input all of those. By having that page, the next page that answers the question, it kind of got rid of all of that. And in fact, it allowed students who even got it right to know why some of the other ones were wrong. It kind of gave feedback for everyone along the way. So to do that, you just pick a text, no question. So that's not a question now, but I can put any content I want here, and then I can order the questions as I want along the way. And this also gave me respite from time that I would go back through the feedback, because I really wanted those short answer questions, but then I was having to go and type feedback or at least copy and paste feedback for everyone's who answered that question. They know that the feedback is here now, and they know that they need to understand this before the exam and so forth. And then if they still have questions, they can ask me, but I'm not giving the same exact feedback or similar feedback based on what 30 different students answered along the way. All right, so within that, sorry this is taking so long, but summary. So what would I suggest you do? Think about what questions you can ask before and after your short teaching. All right, what do you want the students to learn about ahead of time to prime their minds for learning? What formative assessment questions can you ask along the way? And then what feedback do you want to give? All right, and this includes not just why this is right, but you can actually tell why each of those misconceptions are wrong in your feedback page that are embedded between the questions. Right? This also helped me break the content down into short learning chunks, usually anywhere from 2 minutes to up to 15 minutes. I've never went longer than that. That's one of the great things about Screencast-O-Matic, the free version, is it doesn't let you. But most of mine were probably around the 5 to 7 minute time. And this gives students time to think about what you've just given them, and also to answer questions, really process, and really solidify their learning. What I did here was also pretty flexible. That's one of the reasons I liked it. I can embed video lessons, I can embed content pages, I can embed images, I can do a lot of things. I know there's a lot of other things out there like Edpuzzle that'll allow you to embed questions in the middle of a video, and those are great, but I actually didn't have time to really fully learn those, so this kind of allowed me to do a similar thing with short videos, questions, feedback, short video, questions, feedback, and so forth. All right, hopefully that's helpful. I'm sorry that this was a little bit longer video than I meant for it to be, but thank you for listening.